All right.
That's okay. So welcome to this generative coaching session, which is the 6 steps practice. So we would like with Leila offer a time together to catch up and mainly to connect to each other and to practice, to share, to ask questions, to know where you are now just after the training. So perhaps we could begin to get acquainted a little bit, because I know some of you know Leila, but perhaps we can take the time to know who you are, where you are from, what you are doing in your life, and perhaps what do you do with generative coaching since the last training. And perhaps you can say what is the purpose for you to be here. Do you want to practice, to share, to ask questions? The free of that. Everything is possible in this field of possibilities. So we are just here for you with Leila. So who wants to begin? Lydia, perhaps first.
She rang the bell. She rang the bell.
Yeah. Oh. Hi, Lydia.
So this is my first time to join this workshop, the
Okay.
Supervision.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, I just learned generative coaching last month, so it's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lydia.
So who wants to go first?
I'll unmute and jump in. Don't know what I'll say. Obviously, I'm Phil. I'm English, but I've been in Canada for the last 5 years. So I'm in Canada. Yeah, I did core transformation, studying that for the last year, and just graduated as a coach in end of December, beginning of January. But I've got other coaching practices, and I'm very eclectic. So, core transformation, wholeness work, integral coaching, which I did a few years ago. But, yeah, I'm trying to start. I'm trying to get my business going, basically my coaching practice, and it's how to reach people online, which suits me very well online. It's much easier than them coming into the middle of the countryside in Canada to see me. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to really just get my head around the business side of things and connecting. And so that's my challenge, the nitty-gritty world of, but it's about communication. So it's yeah. And that's the generative coaching. I thought, wow, all the coachings I've done, they're all wonderful. This pulls together so many aspects of me being an eclectic being. I think generative coaching is very eclectic as well. But the somatic work just fits perfectly with the fact that I'm also training to teach Qigong, and my original intent a year ago was to synthesize Qigong with some transformative practice, and I think I found the key in Trance. I thought, okay, Stephen's already done it. I can help. I can run with this. I can run with this. So great. No, that's it. I think I've said enough. Someone else speak. Oh, let's to say what I want to do. It's a general refresher, general connecting. I'm happy to, if people want to just ask questions, fine, or do a practice, that would be great too. I thought we were going to do a practice. I thought that was what we were going to do. I'm very open. So that'll do. That's enough. I'll pass on.
Yes, thank you, Phil. Maybe you can pass it on to someone and name someone.
Yes, let's twist someone's arm. Tamar, you got a lovely smile there. Oh, he's going to pick. You had that. He's going to pick me. Look on your face. So
it was like, I hope none of my kids is going to jump into the room, and I'm going to have some peace and quiet to be with you guys. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm happy to go. Hi. Wow, but there is lots of noise coming from somebody. I don't know who. Somebody's not muted.
Perhaps.
Okay, now it's quiet. Yeah, whoa. Okay, so I'm Tamar and I'm in Israel. And I'm here to connect. I have, in my background, I've studied social work and group facilitation and nature therapy, and most of the work that I've done, I left a one-on-one therapy 18 years ago, I think. It didn't really work for me to work with people one-on-one and in a closed setting. I'm more of an outdoors person. And for all kinds of reasons, I left the world of inner work with people professionally. I'm involved in a lot of inner developmental work with people in a non-professional settings. And I've been seeking ways to bring all of my worlds together. I've been exploring the hero's journey for many, many, many years. I actually just came out with a talk about the hero's journey that I'm giving, and I'm bringing in different aspects, mythology and psychology and self-work, and like a lot of my own personal story into that. And people started asking me to do work with them. And I've met Stephen's work, I don't know, some years ago, and this coaching session came, and I was like, whoa, I heard about it 2 days before it happened, I think. Like synchronicity came in. What I am mostly interested, I'm in a phase in my life right now where I'm reshaping my business, and I'm looking into the question of, do I want to do transformational work with people as part of my profession and not just part of my private life? And I think that if the answer is yes, it's going to be more geared toward teamwork and group work and not personal. And one of my questions is, one of the things that I'm interested in learning and hearing, and is really about bringing this work into working with teams, yeah, on professional levels, and also, you know, just that's, I think. But I'm really in a place where it's completely open, and really everything we've experienced, and I think really brings up, it really goes with what Phil said. I'm involved in movement work and artwork and dancing and singing, and it brings so many worlds. I do practice meditation for almost 30 years. It's like weaves so many of my worlds together. So I feel at home, I have to say, on many levels. It's really, yeah.
Great, thank you, Tamar. Thank you. It's nice that you feel at home.
Yeah, it's a language. It feels like a language that is very easy for me to jump into, or that I want to explore more and learn more. It feels like there is so much to learn. Yeah.
Thank you. And you pass to...
Well, I see Caroline just in front of me, so I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you, Tamar.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Caroline. I come from Germany, and I'm a psychologist. I work with individuals and with companies, both. There are both realities in my life. And I was very, very happy in February for this very good experience in generative coaching. And I'm very happy about the possibilities yet afterwards in February and March. Wow, thank all you very, very much for this. I have I would be very fine when we all practice together. And I have tried to integrate generative coaching in my coachings. And I have a question. And there were a lot of very good experiences with the coaching clients and me in this work. But there are two situations when the person is like this. And I want to create the centering from the coach state and say, okay, that's 9. and I'm a little bit, yeah, okay, this is centered. Okay, that's my question. What are you people doing in these cases, and for giving me more idea, or to say, hey, it's okay when this is centered for the client, it's centered. Okay, so that's my question. And I give it to Veronica.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you all.
Thank you. So my name is Veronica. I'm up in the northern parts of Sweden, and my background is within academia as a philosopher, as a researcher and lecturer. And some 5 years ago, you know, I heard my clarion call, and I mean, I always knew at some point in life I wanted to do something different. I wanted to work more directly with people. So I left my nice job where I kind of were involved in this big projects working mostly with brain-machine interfaces and, well, cool stuff integrating neuroscience and technology, basically. And I started to do different coaching trainings. So I got my ICF qualification, my certification, and I'm also a philosophical practitioner. I've studied some other modalities as well. And even if I liked things with them, there was always something missing. I mean, I didn't really feel this is home. So I've been kind of looking for my coaching home where I feel I can embody it wholeheartedly, in a sense. And my journey here was also, I mean, I'm extremely rational on one end and I'm extremely intuitive on the other. So how I ended up with NLP was basically knowing nothing about NLP. I decided to take a training with Bandler in London, just by intuition. Something told me I was supposed to go there, so I did. And that led me on to Grindr, and Grindr led me on to Dilts and Gilligan. So that was basically, I stumbled across this in January in the free seminar they had there. And then during the training now in February, I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Because having worked so much with kind of the mental faculties, I know their limitations. They can take us only thus far. So to actually kind of integrate the body and to also work with obstacles instead of against them are some of the things I just think is fascinating. And the reason for me being here today is basically since the training, I haven't had time to attend any of the workshops. So just to basically learn new stuff, to see what you have to say. I do have a few things I've been wondering about too, but I mean, I think, yeah, let's play it by ear and see what happens. I'm just very grateful to be here with all you inspiring people and look forward to getting to know more. So thank you. And I pass this on to Francis, I think. Well, I don't think, I do.
Thank you, Veronica, and let's be curious to know what is possible, to find out what is possible.
Hi, I'm Francis.
Hi, Francis.
I know some of you already. I know Nigel. I've met Thibaut, and I've met Philip. I live in London. I'm originally from Ireland. My journey, I'm curious. Well, first of all, thank you for organizing this, because I've no idea where it's going, but I'm interested in what's possible as well. I like, sorry, I got involved through Robert Dilts and went to Santa Cruz, and I'm an NLP trainer, although I don't train anyone in NLP. I took the training. Been to Trance camp twice, and I've taken the certification with Robert Dilts and Steve, and also I assist on the health certification training in Holland. And so I suppose what I'm really interested in is people's I don't know what this meeting is about, but I liked Carolyn's query about examples, giving examples and how you'd work with them. But also, I'm interested in anybody's experience of integrating the field and how they're affected by the field, and that to, I'm just so curious about that aspect of this work, and how, I suppose I'm trying to make meaning of things. So I'm doing a lot of reading around that area, and also the business of your energy and how energy is, how you use energy, or how you're aware of your own energy and the energy field, which I think is the same as the field. So that's where I'm at the moment. Thank you. And I don't know who's already spoken. So I don't know, Nigel, have you spoken? I pass you on to Nigel, who's fantastic. He's great.
Okay, well, thank you, Francis. That's a wonderful introduction. And yeah, as Francis said, we worked together a fair bit in recent months, and it's a real privilege. I know Philip, I know Tivo, I know Leila, and it's lovely to be here. Yeah, I started with coaching in 2015 with executive coaching, and found that the more I worked with clients and colleagues, I found that the better work and the magic happened when I made a deeper connection. And that the executive coaching seemed to create blocks for me. And I was really curious about that, although that's interesting because I wasn't curious, it was just interesting. And I met somebody who introduced me to the work of Stephen and Robert. And so I went on a program in 1819 and became a generative coach, which has transformed my work. Fundamentally, I went into coaching because I felt I needed to escape from being a teacher. I've been a teacher for 40 years, and I was in a state almost of permanent crash at that time, and felt that I just needed to get away, but still needed to earn some money. But the more I've worked with myself to become what I really need to see in the world, I realized that education is such a rich resource for me. And so I've semi-retired from education, and now I work 3 days a week, and I've created a business. Although my wife tells me I tinker with the business, and there's always 10% truth in anything people say. As I sort of welcome the crash that sends me into, I sort of realised that actually I'm actually on that journey because, as with Francis, I've worked with Robert on his leadership, generative leadership program. I've attended Creative Minds work with Stephen. I'm intending and have booked myself into the certification of Creative Minds. I think that work is wonderful. I think it's magical, and it brings me so much. And I've been working with my own programs because I run leadership programs. I facilitate leadership. I work with teachers. I work with other people, individuals, and I'm launching myself. But equally, recently I've attended some shamanism workshops, and I've attended other coaching programs that really are helping me to integrate and build my own approach that fundamentally is generative coaching. But I'm becoming so much more confident, so much more aware. And when I saw this morning the word supervision on my phone, I asked permission from somebody that I was working on a program with today if I could leave a little early to be here. And because I really feel that the more connection I can have, the more I can learn from others, the more that brings to me. And I'm just so grateful to be here and looking forward to whatever emerges today, but I just know it will be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. And you pass to?
I think it must be Tivo.
Yeah, I just was absorbing, that wonderful expression. And I think that's why I'm here, just to hear these beautiful stories of aliveness and possibility and yearning. And I think I'll share a little story. So when I was 5 years old, I sang this song. It was do da 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 do da do. I really thought I was going to be a singer. And I remember my brother saying, "That's stupid." I remember my father saying, "Get to work," right? They were the crash invitations. Yet that song has always been with me. And so generative coaching returns me back to that song in a profound, committed, fascinating way. And so I'm here to see all the songs in everybody, both, the two instructors, and they're living it and they're sharing it and their generosity. And just hearing every story that's already been shared, for me, it's like there's a million mirrors and there's a fire in the middle. And the more you see all of those mirrors, you see your own fire and you see how it really is just one fire. And some of the work that's being done on anti-racism, I think, is profound because it's my lived experience. And I see this generativity as a whole new possibility, a whole new world. Back again to that song. So that which most crashes me is actually the best teacher. And I had learned to go under it, to the side, above it. And now I can see it, and it sees me, and it sees my song. So it's paradoxical. So I just wanted my intention is to support the song, the big song and the little songs, because that's my dream, my intention, my purpose. And I can go back to my 5-year-old self and say, remember when 50 years passed? Well, you kept that song. And I really want everybody to keep their song. So I'm not sure who hasn't spoken yet. So
that's really beautiful, Thibaut. Can you sing again?
Sure. It's do ra da ra do ra do do ra da ra do ra do. And I remember my brother saying, "Those aren't even words." And I was like, I would say, "It's love."
And that's love for us too. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Thibaut.
Yeah, Nigel.
Thank you for that story, Thibaut. That's so wonderful. And it reminds me that when I first went to London to meet Stephen, his words that really, really resonated with me and it has created so much motivation is that he said that, most people die with the music still inside them. And that notion of the song for you, and that song, I really sincerely believe is coming out. It doesn't stay inside you. It's there for us all to see and hear. And thank you for that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nigel.
Thank you. Maybe Lydia wants to say a little bit more because you had like this tiny introduction when you first appeared. You're muted though now, Lydia. you want to unmute. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, I joined the generative coaching class in February. Yes, I practiced a little bit. So I'm thinking, I'm doing psychotherapy. So I'm thinking about how to combine generative coaching with my work and also with my personal life. So I'm so glad to be here to receive the supervision. I may not say anything about the cases. I don't know how it will going on for the supervision. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, all of you. I'm so I feel so touched by all of your openings to this work and to us and to this community. I was telling Nathalie how happy I am to be part of this and to be able to give you this space. And we have been so lucky, thanks to Oksana and Richard, who've offered like all these masterclasses, and there's been so many things. And I thought it was also a good idea to give that space where we can just talk about the work and what we do and what we've come across, how we use it, and the questions that we have about it. And I think part of it is really what it is that we want to do here, together with the practice. So we already have some questions. So I don't know how you want to go about this, Nathalie. Do you want to first answer the Caroline's question?
Perhaps Leila, just we can just do a quick introduction of ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah. Perhaps you can begin if you want.
Of course. So I'm Leila. I am based in Paris. I've been a trainer for 20 plus years, and I started off teaching English, and then I wanted to change and become a coach, and I trained in NLP and then in hypnosis, and that's when I came across Steve's work with generative trance work in 2015. I also trained with Richard Bandler in Brighton, and then I trained with Robert and Steve with generative coaching, and since 2018 I've been assisting Steve in Morocco and now in Paris and now online. And the more I get into this work, the more I love it, the more it makes sense, the richer everything and clearer everything is for me. So I'm fascinated by humans in general, by human beings, and they're so complex, and I think that this work, the fact that it's so integrative and inclusive of all these things that you've already mentioned, it allows us to have that possibility of starting to maybe touch something there that may be able to get them to change a bit. So I feel blessed and to have met these two beautiful teachers and my co-instructor here, Nathalie, as well, who's been very supportive as well. So that's me.
Thank you, Leila. So that's why we are working together, because we are sharing our passion. I'm also passionate about human beings with all of their qualities and complexity. I'm the manager of a generative coaching training and consulting company. I've been assisting Steve and Robert for many years. I'm working in business and in personal development. I'm doing executive coaching with executives, training in leadership, in management, in communication. I'm a master trainer in NLP. I've been trained with Robert at NLPU in California, and I have now my institute. I'm, of course, a generative trance practitioner. I'm working with health, with NLP and generative change work. And last but not least, I'm a dancer. And I have developed a method which I call generative somatic movement. So I'm working with my body to help people to connect or reconnect to their somatic mind and to be able to deal with emotions, with stress, and just with life, and to be able to be the change they want to be in the world. So I'm really blessed to be here. I'm really grateful. And when I hear all of your introduction, wow, it's a gift. So thank you for being here. I'm sure we are going to spend a wonderful time together. And I would like, perhaps just before we can share questions and answers, perhaps we can do a global coach state in the flow. So it could be our first step to create a coach field. And perhaps that everyone can say something or give an image or just a gesture, a somatic model, just in the flow. And so you can turn on your microphone if you want. And so I will begin with that somatic model, and you can mirror that just to slow down.
Mhm.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And welcome, Daniel. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Nathalie. Nice to see you, Leila. Nice to see you, Tamar. Nice to see you, Veronica. Nice to see you, Nigel. Nice to see you, Caroline. Philippe. Nice to see you, Thibaut. Nice to see you, Lydia. Nice to see you.
Right. Perhaps you want to introduce yourself, Daniel, in a few words just before we begin?
Yes, I'm Daniel. I'm a generative coach, generative consultant, business consultant as well. I've been doing generative coaching for five years, and in the business world and coaching world for more than 20 years. So, and I'm currently in Martinique. It's almost 1 p.m. here, and I'm very glad to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right. So perhaps we can begin, Leila, with the first question about coach state with Caroline.
Yes.
Because this is the first step. So can you just give us the question again, Caroline? About that and that.
Yes. Imagine a coaching situation with a man, 40 years old, working with finance business, and I explained a little bit, and I asked, "Oh, is that something that could be interesting for you?" And he said, "Oh, yes, I would like to try." And then we both standing, looking at each other, and I started with the words here. Is my way, but it's just to get a taste, and we are exciting about what's your way, and we are in the first quality centered, and he was very quick. Oh yeah, okay. I have a movement, yeah. And then this movement was something like this. And yeah, there is a voice in my and the feeling when I'm looking at him. Wow, that's in my word, centered is who. And I like very much Stephen Gilligan's words, coming back home. And when I look at him with this, I don't feel it, I cannot feel he's coming home.
Yeah.
And it was a dilemma for me. Yeah, and I was very interesting in what ideas, what experience, how do you are going in these situations? What's in such dilemmata? Yeah, I hope I can explain it to you, my question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Thanks.
So someone wants to give an answer about that, to share an experience, a similar experience?
I have a question. Does she, Carolina, do you view that as an obstacle?
No.
Okay.
I don't feel it as an obstacle. No. Because I truly believe that each person has its own reality and its own body language, and yeah. Yeah, but
Can I ask a question? Is there a way to invite more fully what you saw? I assume you evoked and facilitated the coach. So when you saw what you saw, was there more space to receive it and welcome from your own coach?
I didn't get the question. Sorry for. Can you repeat it?
So when you saw what you saw, were you fully in your coach? Is there the opportunity to be more welcoming in your own receiving and welcoming of what you saw?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that open up?
Yeah.
Caroline, I will build on what Tilo said. A question: what was your mindset? What was your feelings? And also, what was your internal dialogue when you started to talk about this topic with your client? And in summary, what image you had at that particular moment? This is what I would say.
Yeah. You both questioned. I like very much to go in the coach state, and I think it's for me an easy way to get in touch with this feeling, with this quality of centered. And I like the person, and there was a great field of hey, yeah, come, we do this because we have good experiences in the past together. And for me, when I think of the situation, my inner was, hey, it's feeling wide and open and centered. And looking at him, it makes me a little bit, and oh, okay, yeah. And it was an emotion of moment. I have a translator. I feel touched. Seeing him, it touched me. Yeah.
Can I
Yes.
ask a, can I ask another question?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
So what would happen if you saw what you saw, was you were touched the way you were touched, and you were holding their space of bigger possibility simultaneously, so that it's not just the shoulders up, but it's the shoulders up and their bigger possibility simultaneously? How would you experience that?
Mm. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know, after that happened, what happened?
Oh, we repeated his movement. Even if it's like this, we are going in a little dance. So we repeated his movement, and I asked him on a scale from 1 to 10 how he feels being centered, and he said, "Oh no, it's fine, 7." And I asked him what he would like to get a little bit higher, and then he said, imagine that there would be a nice wind blowing, and then it, well, okay, and then we finished with, this is a possibility for him in his all day life to experience with this movement getting centered. That was the session we had. Yeah.
Nigel, you wanted to also say something.
I was going to say that when I've experienced similar expressions of coach state, I've asked that question out of 10. What would you need to do to increase that? And interestingly, what I found is that although to me this coach state may not be coach state, if my client experiences coach in that position, that's a beautiful place to start.
Yeah.
And when I do start there, and they express they calibrate their coach state as an 8 or even a 9 here, they're still able to move forward with an intention and create movement forward for themselves. Interestingly, over time, providing they do come back to me as a coach, that their body position changes over time, but almost without noticing. And often what also happens is an expression, a movement that invites a change of position. So this coach state, and then I wonder what happens when you begin to move ahead. It was interesting when somebody in the room was earlier, we were really moving, and that invites so much change and energy in the upper part of my body here and everywhere, that it's very difficult to stay in that place. And it doesn't seem to matter to me personally where that is, because this centering, this coming home is an exploration.
Yeah, something emerges when you say that, Nigel. I just would like to suggest you to do that. When you do that, do you feel yourself in crash state, in coach state? How do you feel?
Much better, much better.
And so we sometimes speak about neuromuscular block. And I just have a question. When your client is telling you, well, I feel at 9 on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at 9 on my coach state. How do you know if your client is in a real deep coach state or not? How do you know?
Something else that I've invited to do is to, when I see that, is to sometimes say, okay, let's really tense our muscles. Let's really block everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much more happens, including breathing, because I stop breathing.
Yes, of course. When you do that, it's difficult to breathe in and breathe out.
And the sensations that I feel in releasing, all the blood moves. There's no block anymore. Everything's released, and that's such a lovely place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a question about what. Yeah, I think it was Tivo, about your own coach state as a coach. It's the first place to feel, how is my coach state? Because as Steve and Robert are telling us, if you are in your cognitive mind at this moment and you are just reflecting on what do I do, I'm in crash. So, and something is really important is to feel the resonance between you and your client, the flow. And if you are really in a deep coach state and your client is too, then you can feel something really different.
And I also wanted to add, I almost heard Stephen's voice saying, I don't know, but I'm really, really curious. So that was coming through for me, because when I heard I don't know, I didn't hear, but I'm really, really curious.
Yeah. So true.
So there seems to be like infinite possible ways to tackle this very interesting situation. What came to me first was my question was, did you feed back to him that I can't help but notice your shoulders seems to be more up than earlier, or were they more up than earlier or not? Your feedback is one thing that also can be helpful.
This is what I was going to ask, because I was thinking, okay, my first inclination is to mirror it back and say, okay,
let's do a coach state.
Isn't that interesting? When I do this, I feel an intensity of energy. I feel the energy intensity rise, but and at the same time, I really I feel I need to relax to get really into my coach state. It's just to reflect it's not my way. But I wonder if that puts a distance, or am I saying, oh, I feel this. So I don't want to deny their ability to be in it where they are, but to say, oh yeah, well when I do this, I feel more energy. On the other hand, I'm finding it difficult to breathe. So it was like, oh, I'm curious.
Can you?
Yeah, I think I would have actually, when I set one up, I tend to start with actually presupposing, saying, for me, centering starts with grounding and sinking energy downwards. So that's where I go before we even start. So if they're going there, you think, I wonder how you got that intensity, but I wonder how that will be if you sense that energy sinking down. How does that feel for you?
Another
if
another
it's
move.
Not good, stay up. But
Tamar, just after Thibaut. No, Thibaut, let's go forward.
Another move would be to ask them, what would your body do if you were 5% more? Now pause, what would your body do if it was 5% less? And notice the micromuscular trajectory and that pattern of what moves towards and what moves away, so you're more calibrated around that range, because the body will answer. It'll demonstrate, it'll respond.
Thank you. Tamar?
Yeah, I'm just listening to everything, and it's really great. I just bringing in a few thoughts that I have. I really like your question, Caroline. It's something that I've been thinking of, especially with executives that are so keen, like towards goals and like this. And one of the things that came to my mind, except for everything that was said so far, is that a lot of people, especially people that are very high achievers, they don't even have an experience in their body of being relaxed. And one of the things that I find is amazing, I don't know if you have the possibility or if people have the openness to do it, is to start by letting somebody be laying on a mat on the floor and letting their body be held by something. And then there is also a practice that comes from somatic experiencing that I really like, which is tracing one spot in the body which is very tense and tracing one spot in the body which is most relaxed. It could be the tiny, I don't know, at the end of the finger somewhere, and then working with it. Do you know this practice of like working with your consciousness, paying attention to the relaxed and then paying attention to the stress and playing with it? I really feel that a lot of us, I mean, I've been practicing movement work and whatever for years, and I tend to like get stressed in a moment. So it's a lot about training the people that we work with to learn even what it is to be a bit relaxed.
That's so true, Tamar, because lots of people it could take more than one session to be in a coach state and to really feel the connection to their body. And that's true that in training we do the 6 steps in 30 minutes. But in real life it's more than that. And especially with people who don't have somatic experiences.
And I just had one more thought that I really liked what Stephen said about that he works with people that are willing to take some sort of a practice, of a daily practice, which is really whatever it would be, in order to start letting our body get to know a place of relaxation. So it's not enough an hour a week or whatever you meet. Long process.
Yeah, it is.
I think a lot of us have hyper adrenalization. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Francis?
Just to make a comment, I think I've had a discussion with Nigel about this, but I'm not sure that you can be in a mixed state a lot of the time. Part of you is in coach, part of you is in crash, and you work with that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd like to add a personal experience of mine as an individual, not as a coach, not as a generative coach. But when I started karate 2 years ago, and my sensei is like this old Japanese guy, and he was like, "Why are your shoulders up all the time?" And I'm like, "They're not up. Then that's me. That's the way I'm built." And he's like, "No, they're up." And I'm like, "They're not up." And each move I would say, and he'd be like, he kept like hitting on my shoulders, and like, "They're not up." And I have back problems. I've had back problems for many years, and just recently I actually realized that they were up. And I went to see my osteopath, and he was like, "One thing you can do," he was just showing that thing, like, he just do this and then, drop them down. And I was like, and now I can sense that most of the time, like, they're actually up, and I pull them down consciously, but I wasn't aware of it. And like for 2 years, I was like, they're not up. And one thing he asked me to do was like, just pretend you're coming back from the groceries and you have bags and you're holding your bags, and that's the way your shoulders should be like. And so now when I walk, I just pretend I have these, heavy bags. But it's really like, even though I've been working on my body, on coach states and so on, I had not noticed that. So there's so many things that we're not aware of. And it's also, it's really, I think, a matter of, yes, sensing how much your client is also able to do that day. Even though you see, the shoulders up. But it does take time for the body to even answer to the conscious mind.
And what comes to me when you are saying that, Leila, is also, we can ask the client to relax the hips. Yeah. Because it's difficult if you relax your hips and to do that at the same time.
Yeah, drop the hips, yeah.
Yeah, drop the hips. And helps you to be connected to your center and to feel the ground. I think, Philip, you are doing Tai Chi, or are you? Qigong, sorry. Yeah. But we can ask to Daniel for that. If you want to share something about that.
Yes, thank you, Nathalie. When Leila was talking about her martial arts master for 30 years plus, and recently I met a martial art master, and he said it took him 1 year to do just this exercise. And he went to a Tai Chi master in Paris. And after that, he came to his club, to his dojo club, and he met some friends. And he said, "Oh, by the way, what did you learn from your master?" He said, and his friend said, "Come on, you spent 1 year learning that?" He said, "Yes." And actually, it's something very interesting, because he taught us how to just relax the shoulders. And time to time, I teach also martial arts. And yesterday, yes, exactly. Yesterday, I was teaching for a young student. She's almost black belt. And I said to her yesterday, please relax your shoulders. And because so many things can be possible when our shoulders are relaxed. Because almost 60% of our physical tension is located here. So, and even more on our neck. And we know that we have a lot of nerves, eyes nerves in our neck. So when we have tensions in our back, on our shoulders, on our neck, even our possibility to see properly can be a little bit confused. So it's not only the shoulders can be relaxed, but our neck, our head, and we can breathe, and we can breathe even better because we can open our torso here. So it's not only if we focus mainly on the shoulders, this is the point. But when we think in a systemic way, we can see that many things can be possible at that moment. And there is something I like to do every morning. I can show you. I start with whatever left or right shoulder, and I do this. Back, forward, back, forward. Then the left shoulder, back, forward, forward, back. And then I use simultaneously the two shoulders, and I breathe at the same time. And I reverse. And then I do this as if I was swimming, but I'm not using my hands or my arms. I'm just doing this, as if I was swimming, you know. And we can feel and reverse as well. Yeah. Now, when I'm doing this exercise, what you're doing is good in order to move the spine. However, really to feel how our shoulders can move, I'm just doing this. Yes, exactly what you're doing. Exactly. So, thank you, Nathalie, for asking.
Thank you, Daniel. So this is an exercise that we can do with our clients too. And this is a way to connect to their somatic mind too. And it's a practice. And what came to me when you were speaking about that, I just would like to add that as a dancer, it's always a systemic things that are happening in your body because our teachers are asking us to go towards the sky from the top of the crown, to feel grounded on the floor with the feet, to drop the hips, to feel the center, the sternum here, just to open the chest. So it's many things that helps you to be connected and relax in the flow with your body. And if you're tense, you can't dance. It can be something really fluid in the flow. And it's the same with our client when we are doing generative coaching.
And one thing I would like to add to that as well is you're always it's always best for you to have like as many ways as possible to get into a coach state for yourself and to guide your client through a coach state. And maybe they can then think of ways to guide themselves into a coach state. But the more ways you have, the better it is for you, because then, you know, like say, for instance, you notice that your client is a 7 and he's like this, and then you offer him to say, you know what, in order for us to go maybe to a 7.5, you could say, maybe we could do like some active centering this time, and then do these, and then you get them to move, and then it's a different kind of way also. So yeah, it's just, I think it's always good to ask oneself, how many ways do I have to get into a coach state? How many ways can I use to get my client into a coach state? And write them down, like literally, and have this, like maybe this journal for yourself, so that you can you know, get better and better at it as you go along.
I had something there, Leila. Recently, I've been doing a lot of work with my clients who we wanted to explore moving into coach state in a variety of different work situations. So for us here, we may be in our beautiful homes and very relaxed and really calm, you know, and we've got everything around us to support us. And we can spend time in doing that. But sometimes, a lot of the time in our day, we may be constantly bombarded with things that are trying to so carefully push us off balance and send us into crash. And how we receive that and what we do in that moment, maybe in a meeting, maybe on the telephone, maybe walking through a corridor, it doesn't matter, infinite number of ways. But in that moment, what ways are there? And so what I've been experimenting with as I've been doing my own practices is to experiment with ways of doing that, to center myself through very micro movements, just touching my hand, just moving and paying particular attention to sounds or movements, and using that in the process so that I can use them as an anchor when I'm working. And with one particular client, it's been that I work with as a colleague too, it was even when a particular person starts to send them into crash, just to look across in my direction and do something like twiddle with their earlobe, so that I know to do something which we've rehearsed, which is to look to the corner of the room and just notice something about the corner of the room, just so that they can go, that's interesting, I'm beginning to go into crash, what must I do to recenter? Interesting, really interesting to find numerous ways for ourselves and work with our clients too.
Yeah, thank you,
Just
Nigel.
say, just say, Nigel, what you I don't know if you based it on Shirzad Shamin's findings, positive intelligence, but yeah, that perfectly aligns with what he's saying to teach his executives. 10 seconds sensory absorption, like fingernails. Wiggle toes. Wiggle toes sounds great because it'll take you down to the ground, take your sensory awareness to the ground, and you can have fun while someone's pissing you off. You're in the meeting, but you're wiggling your toes. You're wiggling your toes, and just over my toes while he goes on and tries to wind me up. So, but those things, very valuable. And he has a whole lot of teachings about why it's so effective, because it lights up a completely different part of the brain to the one that's going into crash. The crash part is in here, and you're lighting up the more empathic areas when you go into sensory awareness. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
we're making advances one way and another.
It is for that. It is. Thanks, Philip, for reminding what his name was. I didn't want to say what his name because I actually thought I might get it
difficult.
Wrong.
It's difficult to remember. You have to say it a few times.
Yeah.
Well, you start to go into crash when you start to try and remember his name.
Maybe
Shirzad
share, you can share it in the discussion in the
I'll
chat.
stick it in the chat.
Yes,
I think it's a wonderful book, especially if you're working with type A personalities or whatever.
It is one of the works that I've been working with during this last year. There's a sort of an 8-week program that he runs to connect with that work, and there's also work on recognizing the difference, which he would call, well, I would interpret coach state with what he calls sage state.
Yeah.
The sage in us. And he also talks about the crash being caused by our saboteurs, the things like the avoider that creates procrastination with ourselves, and all sorts of things. But really, it is worth a good read, actually, for those of us.
and also to say that he runs free trainings for people who are already coaches, but you have to sign up and get on the waiting list. I've done that. I'm on the waiting list. I haven't done the training, but there's enough in the book to have inspired me to say, this I could integrate with my core transformation, my generative coaching, my everything, because it's a wonderful model. We'll work with your saboteurs and increase the positive coach sage state. It's a great integrative thing. Yeah. Can I just, while I'm on, I'll just add one little layer, literally, to the shoulder work. I paid for a little course from Bruce Francis in Taoist arts, and it's all based on this whole thing about spine and such. But he says there's a subtle, deeper layer that's going on. You kind of grip onto your fascia, this layer beneath the skin, and you move the whole fascia up over your head, and so you start linking into your head as well as other parts of the body when you do the shoulder. So it's just a little notice for advanced practitioners. I'm not entirely there myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty profound, actually. It looks just like a shoulder roll, but it's a good starter for the day.
So I'm looking at the watch, Nathalie, and we're about like 10 minutes away from the end of this session.
Yeah, and one thing is great is that we only spoke about the first step. So this is a good thing, because I think that Leila, we could do now, from now, we could do five supervision more to do
five more, yeah.
second, third, fourth. So it could be. Yeah. Is there someone else who want to share about the first step? So, Coach Tate, what do you do?
Oh,
or another question about that?
A question. I don't know if any of you, I think you said that you work with teams. How do you bring a team into, like, you have different people are in different places in terms of like, how do you create a group coach state? Now we can open a 2-hour conversation about it probably, but yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I say something there, Tamar. For somebody that works regularly with teams to do this work, the thing I've found really interesting is, and it links with Francis's question earlier around the field, and how the interestingly, just with us today doing that integration to begin with, of each person bringing something to the coach state. And it's something that I've introduced, which is to demonstrate the coach state completely to begin with, but then slowly over successive sessions, meetings, bring that so that we are integrating something from each other. And it's a real beautiful way of developing trust amongst the team, beautiful way of integrating each person's what each person might bring and honouring what each person brings. And I guess in a sense that I sort of launched myself into it by just simply saying, you're just going to have to trust the process, Nigel. Just go for it. And whatever I brought seemed to resonate and was welcomed for the next time we did that.
And I just would like to add to trust the process, to trust yourself as a coach, to trust the client, and to trust the field, especially the field, and just be connected with it.
And what I'd like to add to this is, like, imagine yourself getting into a room with people in there, like waiting for a meeting, for instance, and you could already sense the energy in the room. And if you just watch closely who's doing what and what's going on, and sometimes even when you get into a room where you don't know people, you look, and you may be, you know, inclined to go towards some people more than others. And it's, for me, it's a question of like, how do you adjust your frequency to theirs, or do they have the same kind of energy or frequency as you? And it's like you go towards some people more than others. But if you look at these people in the room, and then you could see anything can happen anytime. And the energy can shift anytime, and the field can change at any time, just like in a relationship one-on-one. Like all of a sudden I can say something, or even just non-verbally say something, and you'd be like, there's no way I'm ever talking to her again, you know. So the relationships and the field, it's so fragile, and at the same time it's full of possibilities. So how is it that you connect with people one-on-one? How is it that you connect with people all together? One thing is that we learn in NLP is the synchronization. But we also know that the synchronization is natural with the mirror neurons, because it's
mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons. And so so when, you know, when Nathalie says trust the field, yes, because, you know, I think we are wired like that. And then when you want to bring in this new energy into a field, just like what we did virtually today with the somatic moves and so on, it could be. It doesn't have to even start with the somatic moves at first, you know. It's like, just ask people what, you know, what makes them, you know, what makes them feel good, you know, or ask them about a positive experience. And then, you know, all of a sudden they're in there and they're telling their story, and people are like, hey, enjoying it. And, oh, wow, that makes me think of my, you know, story. And then you have a field right there.
Thank you, Leila. So I'm now looking at the watch too. So perhaps we can make a last round of what are your main takeaways from today, and perhaps we can say together, Leila, that we will do another session.
Definitely.
And just to give you some information, I will do a somatic movement next Saturday at 6 CET, and it's about the 6 steps. So if you want to come, it's only 30 minutes, so you can come as you are, and it will be a pleasure. And really, and I'm
and there's gonna be some dance,
and there's gonna be some dance with music. So so perhaps we give you the last words for the last round. What are your main takeaways from this session?
I want to say thank you to all of you for your wonderful questions and suggestions and inspirations, and I like it so much. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Very, very helpful.
Yeah, the things on my mind was still what about Carolyn's client. So what I'm taking away is, the pre-framing about grounding, energy dropping down. Stephen always talks about energy drops down, center. Because if you go straight for center, some people are, like this guy's obviously head-centered. His energy at some point found up and out as a way of escaping from something in early childhood. So he centers up here. Okay, I'm in center, and he's like a kind of hawk, hyper vigilant, no doubt. Yeah, here I'm safe, up in my head. But so if you start from center, people are going to center from different places. So I think, pre-frame grounding comes into centering. That's mine. It clearer for me.
Thank you. Other takeaways? Yeah, Tamar?
Okay. Wow, first of all, I'm very grateful that I'm here. Just opened so many more questions and want to learn and practice more. And I have never done anything with NLP actually. and it brings up a question: is it something that I should bring into my learning, or I don't know? But this is one of the questions that I'm coming out with. Yeah, and I really just want to find more ways to learn online. That's my main thing. But thanks so much.
Thank you.
The grounding before anything is really, really important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm taking this Shirzad guy thing that I'm going to check out. It's really, yeah.
Thank you, Tamar.
Learned a lot from so many of you that you spoke. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
What I've taken away from today is that just the enormous power of connection, and that the gratitude again for just being here and sharing, listening. It's so powerful and so supportive that I really thank you for that. And if nothing else, actually, well, even more importantly, perhaps I may have improved my dad moves on the dance floor. Maybe I won't be quite such a dad dancer.
Thank you.
I mean, who don't feel just absolutely happy when you have all that big smiles brought by all these lovely people? So I mean, for me, first of all, also as you said, I mean, just meeting you, just being here, a lot of gratefulness on my part. And for me, being a total newbie in a sense then to generative coaching, just these actual know-hows, just hearing the discussions, it gives so much inspiration. So just, you know, starting to build a tiny toolbox to bring together with that field connection. So that's what I'm taking with me, kind of my first tiny toolbox to add with the rest. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Veronica.
And for me, I think I'm really very grateful to be in this group. I feel at home, I feel connected. And yes, I learned many things. I want to give 2 examples. Like, I think I need to practice, like to be aware of the flow with my body, and also to trust the process, the client and the field, especially the field. I still not sure what the field is. So hopefully I will know eventually. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.
I'm going to pay attention to my shoulders and dropping my shoulders after your story. But if you do these Zoom calls, you start to notice different things, and one is posture. And so I'm just struck by Daniel and Nathalie's posture. They have great postures for these Zoom calls, the way they hold themselves. That's it.
Thank you, Francis.
Yes, that's years and years and years of practice. Huh?
Thank you, Francis.
Dancing and martial arts.
It doesn't mean that I'm not saying that nobody else has good posture. So don't worry.
Of course. Of course. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
Daniel?
Oui.
Oui.
even though I already practice use of coach state, I loved your question. Thank you so much, because I think as many domains, martial arts, generative coaching, whatever we are learning, in my view, everything for me in my life has been all the time an ongoing process. And listening to your question actually helped me to highlight my own practice of doing coach state. And so for me, it's a learning, listening to questions. And thank you so much for that. And secondly, Nathalie, it's the very first workshop I'm assisting today. Even though I was in a team leader, I didn't have time. And I'm so happy to be here. So
thank you, Daniel, because Daniel is also a team leader. So thank you for being here. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure. It's my deep pleasure, Nathalie. Thank you so much.
All right. As Stephen used to say, I know you were all gonna leave me.
But we are going to come back. We will be back.
Yes, just like the Terminator. Yes. Yes, I think my takeaway is that I really like connecting with you all. I really like talking about generative change work and learning from all of you too. And for me, often I even forget to do the coach state at the beginning, because I'm already in a coach state the moment I meet you guys. You know, it's so ingrained in my body. So thank you so much for your sharings and for your capacity to hold that space for us, and your questions and your wanting to know more. And yeah, I really feel this beautiful energy, and that makes me feel, you know, it's, since everything is circular, it makes me just feel just as great. So thank you so much for that. And I'll be very happy to schedule another meeting with Nathalie so that we can continue our sharings.
My pleasure, Leila. So thank you all. I really feel the beautiful energy of this beautiful group. And I'm hoping we will see each other again, because I was expecting that we could practice the 6 steps, but that's just a wonderful experience. We only did the first step, so that's okay. That's perfectly okay. And I'm curious to discover what we could find out doing the other steps together. So thank you. I'm really grateful for having this time with all of you. So, and thank you, Leila. Thank you. And thank you, Daniel, for being here. So see you soon. We keep in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.